But right now I'm going to talk about a tale of two job earners. So you're working at a place, you've been a loyal employee, but you're falling behind because of the terrible inflation we had that cooked up starting in late 20 and roared in 21 and hit its peak earlier this year. And now, thankfully, is cooling off. Through that cycle, we've actually had less inflation than a lot of other countries in the world, and particularly a lot of developed countries have had more inflation than we've had. But the average U.S. worker has fallen further behind than workers in any other developed country. And there are unique circumstances in the U.S. labor force and labor market that are responsible for that. But I saw a chart in the Financial Times showing the hit of inflation on people's living standards, and we in the United States, of all developed countries, the average person fell about 3.5 cents behind, to be precise, 3.7 cents behind each dollar you made. That your purchasing power, because of inflation, has declined. Even as you got whatever raise you got from your employer, the average worker today is making like 96 cents, 96.3 cents for each dollar equivalent you were making before inflation started cooking in late 20 and peaked probably, we'll realize next year, it probably peaked sometime July, August this year. And thankfully, again, going the right direction. But there's a phenomenon in the U.S. labor market that you've got to be aware of that is kind of something you'll hear me talk about generally with the U.S. economy that also makes us different in many ways than other developed countries. That we as consumers are rewarded for disloyalty. We as workers are rewarded for disloyalty as well. And what do I mean by that? So employers are griping about their wage costs. When they talk to Wall Street analysts every 90 days, they're always talking about the cost pressures they're seeing as an employer on payroll. But then how could it be that you may have fallen behind in your purchasing power because of inflation if employers are whining to Wall Street that their labor costs are rising? Because in the American workforce, the way you bid your wages up is by going out and seeing what else is out there. It doesn't necessarily mean you've got to jump from your current employer to another one, but you got to go test the market and see what you are worth somewhere else. And if you are willing to make a change, and only if you're willing to make a change, do you notify your employer that you've been offered another job somewhere else and you're considering taking it. And the reason you got to be sure you're really comfortable leaving is your employer may say, gosh, congratulations to you. I hope that new job is great. So you never bluff. And you really have to be comfortable leaving where you are. But if you are willing to walk, in other words, you're willing to go take an opportunity somewhere else, that's how you're going to catch back up and overcome the inflationary cycle that we were in for roughly 18 months for inflation going one direction up. So if you don't have an active current resume, you get one together. And you go see what the marketplace says your value is. Odds are it will be the equivalent higher hourly rate than what you're making now, significantly higher than what your employer, without worrying about you leaving, is willing to give you as a raise. And that's how you overcome inflation. Now, guys, this has been really weird because the layoffs, when we had the big layoffs back in 20 because of COVID, the layoffs hit women much harder than men. But ironically enough, women have come fully back into the workforce, and men, even though they were subject to far fewer layoffs 2 years ago, men have not come back in the same numbers. And what's known as labor force participation, that's the percent of men of working age population that are working, has gone down meaningfully. Well, we've got all these job vacancies. Even as the Federal Reserve is forcing the economy into a lower gear by raising interest rates, there's still enormous job openings. The number of people getting hired, still surprising economists of all private economists, government economists, university economists, they're all just shocked how employment has stayed strong and job openings continue to be there. If you felt like the marketplace didn't want you, the marketplace does want you, and at higher wages than you were making when you stop participating in the workforce. Opportunity is there and training is available if you want to be in a whole different category with a different level of skills and different earning power. The opportunity is there for both men and women to seize that and take what the economy is offering now, which is a whole step up from where we were pre-pandemic.